I think the biggest difference is, for VCs is the return. For corporate VCs is more about the strategic partnerships and the value that you can create together.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Strategy Show. I'm your host, Severino. This episode is brought to you by the Strategy Sprints. Strategy Sprints, we do only one thing, strategy in sprints. Strategy means every month more revenue. In sprints means doing it in a way that gives you more energy for the next week and the next week and the next week. Every day we try and bring one CEO tip for you, the CEO of small and medium companies. And today we have Senior Investment Manager at Sky. She manages startup investments and partnerships for Sky. She has a vast experience in the VC field, from episode 1 ventures to day 1 capital and so much more. She sat on the advisory board of a leading self-driving car startup. Please welcome everybody, Eva Rez. So, Eva, can you share with our audience something that is not so much known about you?
Yes. Hi, everyone. And thank you for the introduction, Simon. So I think probably my friends know this about me, but not the rest of the audience. So I'm a big city walker. I love taking big walks. And it's interesting, I think, because a lot of people love hiking, which I also like, but I also like exploring big cities. And I feel that that's basically very similar to meditation. When you immerse yourself in your surroundings and what's around you, and you can actually discover very little details. And I think the last couple of months was, perfect for that, because there were not big crowds out there. So I just went out there, I was taking photos, and I realized that there are so many details that I've never seen before. And it's also something for me that helps me just think through a lot of things. So I think the best thoughts come when you are walking. You don't really focus on any other things. And that's why I compare it to meditation, because your thoughts just, pass through. And then when you come home, you realize, oh, I've never thought about this, but this is like how this inspires you. As you are out there, you find very fine details, very nice moments, and then that helps you also to kind of implement it into even work or your personal life.
Is this where you get your inspiration for your artwork, that people can see that?
No, actually, I'm still a beginner, so I kind of cheat and I follow some tutorials and some videos based on paintings that I like. It's also a secret I've never shared before, but I really like colors, as you probably see. And it's also a way to just immerse myself in something completely different from my work or from my everydays. And creativity also kind of uses another part of your brain, so I think that's just very helpful.
Beautiful. I'm so excited because we will unpack a lot of things. We will talk about knowing yourself, about how to hire a great CFO, and also how to get up every day with your mindset on improving something. So you have such a vast career and so much experience in VC, and also in different worlds of VC. You have the corporate VC experience, but the traditional VC experience. What's the main difference for people who don't know it, and what's your take on it?
Yeah, so that's correct. I used to work for traditional VC firms, and now I'm part of a team at a corporate VC. I think, well, for corporate venture capital, there are also different models, which I'm not going to go into right now. But basically, I think the key difference is, the main stakeholder, the main LP, or because for traditional VC funds, you typically have a fund where LPs, limited partners invest. And so I think the main incentive for a fund is to deploy high returns, because that's the expectations of the investors. Meanwhile, for corporate VC, you have either LP in the fund if you manage also a fund for the corporate, or in our case, we are embedded in the organization. So that means that basically our LPs are, the management and the business. So for us, we really need to understand the business. And for us, the biggest value to contribute to the business is to bring in innovative startups and companies who we can work with. And our team also initiates commercial partnerships, not only investments, although I'm working more on the investment side. So I think the biggest difference is, for VCs is the return. For corporate VCs is more about the strategic partnerships and the value that you can create together. Not to say that we are not looking at the financials, but I think that's probably the biggest difference.
So also from my experience, when corporations invest in startups, they are not so much searching for earnings, they are more searching for learnings. So to be there to see what they see, and to have that fast learning cycle, and to have that access to a technology which is emerging, or to weak signals. So when you invest, what are your criteria? Are you trying to find some patterns, some technologies, or so why do you invest?
Yes, so we work very close with the business, and we are kind of an intermediary between internal stakeholders and external stakeholders, which are typically the startups and the VC network we have. And we review our focus areas from time to time with the business. So we are looking for opportunities for growth, and that could be innovative technologies or even content. And we are also trying to enhance capabilities within the business, let's say with automation. So we define these focus areas ourselves and together with the management and the business. And then we try to find and scout startups that would be relevant for us, and as a big corporate. And then we do our job as a team to make sure that those partnerships or even those investments happen. But yeah, you are right. It's all about embracing innovation, bringing in new technologies. And sometimes when, there are no resources, for instance, within the company to do that, it's just a faster way to get access. But we also might become a customer for those startups, and hopefully that's also very beneficial for them, and also the insight that they can get through us, because it's a big brand, it's a big established business, so we can also kind of share some insights, some thoughts, our network, some data with them, which can be very useful for these companies as well.
Absolutely. What is Sky currently creating? Tell us a little bit of the Sky world currently.
So I'm not sure I can disclose this, but I can share some thoughts around that. So personally, why I really like this role, working at a corporate VC, and to what extent it's different from my previous roles, which I also like a lot, is that here I'm part of the bigger business development and strategic partnerships team. So that means that we are also a little bit part of the business development initiatives. And while my role focuses on investments and portfolio management, right now I have the luck to work alongside the business development team and help on a certain focus area, which I can't disclose right now. But I think it's always very motivating to work on something new. And hopefully, we will create a framework or a strategy, and on the back of that, we can deliver partnerships and investments for the company. So I think that role is a very versatile role, and that's why I really like that. And that's where I also feel that besides just connecting the dots between the external and the internal world, I also hopefully create something new with other people, with my team members, with the business, and then finally with the startup. So I think it's a very inspiring part of my role.
How do you find the companies to invest in? One thing is, of course, you see a lot and you scout and you have your radars. Are there also founders who write to Sky and say, "Hey, I have something, it might interest you, and who should be that founder?
Yes, so we have different sources, and one of those sources are definitely these called inbound, so emails. They approach us through LinkedIn, which I encourage startups to do if they feel that they are relevant for our business. But we also have an extended network, investor network in the US, in Europe, and also through our portfolio companies, we get access to other founders, so they might recommend another technology or another team to us because they think that would be a good collaboration in between the two parties. So we have various sources, and I think it's very true for the whole VC word that this is how it works. It's basically a people's business, but it's not a nice term to use, but this is how it works. And we have regular catch-ups with other investors just to share deal flow and to understand what they are looking at, how we can share startups with them that we see, or the other way around. For us, as I said, we have defined focus areas where we are scouting for startups. These are mainly technology companies. So Sky's core business is a triple play. So it's not just TV, but it's also broadband, mobile. We also have sports news. So we have a lot of different areas where we, as I said, try to either boost growth by bringing in these innovative startups or enhance various capabilities and skills within the business by those technologies or products that they can provide us with. And yeah, I think if you look at what the company does, it's helpful. You'll understand. So we would only invest in companies that are relevant for us.
Do you want to make your sales more repeatable and reliable? Do you want to have less volatility and more growth in your revenue per month? At Strategy Sprints, we do only one thing: strategy in sprints. Strategy means more revenue through a better offer. Doing it in sprints means having more energy in your team every week. Check out if your ROI is as high as it is for most service-based and online businesses and startups we work with, which is over 100%. You can see yours in just 15 minutes by going to strategysprints.com/sales and completing our exercise to know what your ROI would be with our accelerator program. We are ready to sprint. Are you?
One thing that you put into that you want to talk about is know yourself. Can you unpack that?
Yes. So I find as a person and, as like a working person as well, or human, is that it's really important to know yourself, because that's the center of everything. And especially if you are a CEO, at the end of the day, you'll manage people, and if you don't know yourself, how you are supposed to tell other people what to do, how will you motivate them? So I think that's why it's very important to understand your core values, who you are, and then from there you can extend that to your whole team, to your partners, to your customers, and you will be probably also more receptive with those other people, because then you want to look for different traits or different behaviors and maybe react to that. So I think that's one thing. And obviously you'll come across a lot of challenges, a lot of hurdles throughout the way. So you have to be prepared for that. You have to be able to take risks. And if you know yourself, and if you know this is not for you, you shouldn't become a founder, a CEO, or you should find the right people who will help you. But if that's something that you are seeking, that it's definitely for you. But also I think it's very important to celebrate success. So it's not just about the difficulties, but sometimes I think people forget about just giving time to actually enjoying the accomplishments for the business or for the team. So that's why I'm saying this is a very human thing, and I think it's very important to manage a business very well. And maybe one more thought to that is that I also see that because entrepreneurs typically love building the company, it's sometimes very hard to find the moment when it's maybe time to take a step back, because to build a company from a 10 people company up to 100. It's a different business from like doing the same thing from 100 up to a global operations type of business, and also reaching those customers. So you might be the right person to build a smaller business, but you might not be the right person to do the scaling up. So I think that's where you need to know yourself, and you need to embrace that, okay, I did my job, I might take a step back, and now there's someone else. It's time for someone else to take this over.
How can somebody check if they are the right one for the small or the big one?
Well, I think it all comes with experience as well. But of course, all of us, somehow we have to learn things, and the best way to learn things is by doing them. I think I don't want to say like when you feel your barriers, because sometimes we just need to step out of our comfort zone and we need to overcome those barriers. But I think if you listen to people around you, if you listen to your employees, to your customers, to your board, investors, like different stakeholders, and if the feedback is kind of, maybe you are, it's not for you because you did a great job, but then, you might want to bring, it doesn't mean you have to, step down, but you might want to bring in people who can help you to scale up the business. So that's where that's why I'm saying that the core is you. And once you know what you are capable of, then you also know where you need maybe help. And I think that's a very important thing.
We all know that working in sprints is better, but how do we know what to work on? You're in luck, because we have a 15-minute exercise that will give you complete clarity on where to take your project next. Go to strategysprints.com/sales to complete our short exercise and meet one-on-one with an expert sprint coach to identify your number one bottleneck.